We are live. Hold on. There I am. Me too. Meet the key. Right.
What? You mean those two came from the
Hold on, let
Golden
me
Isle? God, so
lower
then
the music a little.
after World War One came.
It's a little bit loud. Alright. Now, we continue the story. Have to do this first. The rest fills the air, and an exiled bird has found a branch to rest upon.
Fate. Yes. It looms over us, yet each of us may hold the power to steer its course.
Just like this nation of contradictions, its fate should also be. Okay, shall we officially begin the salon? Yev rips her in Roberta, noticing the tears welling up in Octavia's eyes, cuts her off. Would anyone like to share a story on this topic? If it's a personal experience or a written tale, let's bring some life to the salon. Well, if no one has anything to say, I could always retell the story of my fateful journey across the Mexican border. A chair screeches as one man stands. All eyes falls on his face, shadowed by his heavy brow and sharp cheekbones. An unexpected twist. No one noticed him quietly sitting at the edge of the crowd until now. Spent the first half of my life as a bank clerk, one day sitting behind the glass window staring at endless stacks of checks, papers, and files. It hit me. I was serving a life sentence. So I quit, went home and decided to write something. But my wife threw a fit at first. When I wouldn't budge, a cold war broke out between us. Then finally, she issued a unilateral eviction notice. Got drunk, punched a bastard officer who was beating a beggar in the street. Everything after that's a blur. When I came to, I was already here. It feels more like home than any other place ever did. Marriage skill issue. An idealist gave me some water and suggested I wrote to Aleph. I did. I wrote a letter and asked the question. 2 weeks later, I got a reply. Just one line. Still trying to figure out what it means. In the short span of life, there exists an infinitely extending staircase, and at its end lies nothing but a silent body of water. No idea you had such a story. Why haven't you mentioned it before?
I didn't know you've written to Aleph too.
Maybe you did choose the right topic. Young, passionate writers like you should carry the dream of changing society. Or end up like me, waiting until this age to finally pick up the pen. The hostess, fully engrossed in the story, has almost forgotten about the topic. Suppose it's my turn then. Here's my tale of crossing the Mexican border. Heaven's sakes, spare us. Read at least 7 or 8 versions of that story already, not to mention the 5 short stories in your collection. 5 stories, Roberta. 5? The only difference between them is the narrative perspective. Editive narrative is indeed an important topic in literacy criticism. The remainder of the salon is spent in noisy chatter as the storytelling quickly spirals out of control. Only Dr. Doris quietly repeats that name to herself.
Aleph.
Mr. Giulio's past was an unexpected gold nugget, perfect material for a biography. I treated with care in my next submission, and I had nearly forgotten I was still in prison, been swept up by the literary salon. So I have to record all that I witnessed in this prison as to whether it's truly prisoners would be for the readers to decide. At the time, I did not ask how they found their way into this prison. Like them, I was thinking of purer thing. Looking back on this journey now, see the tangled strands had formed an interconnected web. As this long gets into full swing, a face emerges from the shadows, with only the smile clearly visible. Rarely do I observe the salon from afar, taking in all its symbolic quirks and subtle metaphors. The bridge between reality and unreality, the poetry of the typical and the atypical. This is exactly how I envisioned La Sociedad de las Americas when I founded it. When the new arrival catches her attention. Reality and unreality. Are you referring to the difference between non-fiction and fiction? Afraid I haven't quite grasped your full meaning. Ah, but you understood at least part of it, didn't you? That alone proves we're walking the same path in unwavering pursuit of aesthetic truth. We are the citizens of the Literacy Kingdom, stargazers chasing the light to reach shores of the New World. Children crying beneath a tree of pure ideals. As its founder, I sincerely invite you to join La Sociedad de las Americas and become one of us. Gentlemanly bow, an invitation that is hard to refuse. Everything here carries an air of mystery. The literary gathering, the strange architecture, and the enigmatic receipt of all those letters. A rare opportunity.
I'm truly flattered by your invitation. I'd be delighted to join the Poetry Society. But might I trouble you with one question, Mr. Idealist?
You call yourself the founder, so I assume you are the idealist, yes? Ask away. Could you tell me about Aleph? No more reading. Freedom. For now. Passion and delirium. Open your eyes to see the night. Close them to see the light.
This is a serious violation of the rules. I'll have to report this to the physician, and all of your treatments will need to be reassessed. Until a new treatment plan is in place, all members of La Sociedad are confined to their cells without any of their usual privileges.
This is not what we agreed to!
You gave us your word! Affairs within La Sociedad were not to be disturbed!
Please, don't do this. Please, he doesn't deserve this. No one does. We don't want to lose our friend.
Please, Senora. I swear it won't happen again. I'll take the medicine on time as instructed. I promise I won't hurt anyone.
I'm sorry, Mr. Pablo, but rules are rules.
Before you take this poor man from his friends, may I ask you something? Do you know where these inmates go after they see the physician?
My duty is to keep order here. What happens beyond these walls is not my concern. Perhaps they've recovered from the physician's treatment and were returned to society.
The jailer's expression relaxes.
Within these walls, the only truth we know is this. No one returns from the clinic of the physician of Kamala. Are you certain this treatment they received is really a cure?
Pablo's harmless. He's just a writer who has a talent for finding words in poems. That's all. Please, let him stay. We'll look after him. He can have our share of the medicine. We'll keep him in check.
But this doesn't conform to our regulations.
Still as arrogant as ever, idealist. One day, you'll get us all killed.
A stranger enters the exhibition hall. As she arrives, the jailer exhales with relief.
Oh, it's you. I'm glad to see you here.
Who is that?
That's Octavia, one of our model inmates. She's been a great help in the past.
Right. In poems, you don't see me in an asylum. True.
If you're interested in prison literature, I'd suggest talking to her instead of the idealist.
So, she's a writer too? Who would have thought? This place has got writers coming out of the woodwork. I thought it would be easy to find my writer friend in a prison. But what are the odds that I'd break into a place absolutely lousy with them?
She used to be in their gatherings, until she got tired of their nonsense and started her own faction.
No arrival brings out a change in the idealist. He clicks his tongue imperceptibly.
What are you doing here, Octavia? Haven't you heard? The era of chieftains, ghosts, and plantation stories is over. Visceral realism is the future.
And has this brilliant visceral realism helped you finish any of these poems? What a waste of time. I'm not interested in your movement or arguing with you. I just walked by and happened to witness another episode of your brutal arrogance. And I'm not about to just stand aside and watch you repeat your mistakes. I'm taking Pablo to the physician. Care to lend a hand, Miss Jailer?
We agreed to mind our own business. Are you breaking our agreement? No one will be allowed to erase a word from our poems.
To beat up the prisoners.
Do you feel ready to discuss it?
Haven't you let your ego cause enough trouble, idealist?
Better that than siding with the devil like you.
Enough. This pointless arguing ends now.
A flag is?
I mean,
I'll be right here.
beating them both up is certainly one way to win an
Have
argument.
faith in me, Master. How good! The word, this one. Stay back, I say. No use in avoiding it. Great. No mistakes. I'm careful with the punishing you. Is that really the best you have to offer? Hey! A flag is? Don't worry. It's been proven. Don't be afraid. To read. All in moderation. Or are we really?
And the debate is to beat up the other party. True. Can't debate someone if they're unconscious.
Finally,
Win by default.
Join me, Master.
Stand down, both of you.
Their heated debate continues without any concern for the jailer's warning.
You've never listened. I pity your followers. To be led by such a reckless megalomaniac. Do you even think about the consequences of your actions? We fought hard to earn the freedom to discuss literature under their watch. Your impulsive ego threatens to destroy everything we've built here.
Spare me the lecture, Octavia. We don't need permission to do as we please. You're just another puppet of power, kneeling to the eyes behind those glass walls. They've trained you to believe it was your own decision, to be good and conform. Who could have done a better job? When I look at you, all I see is a sheep, docile and obedient, just the way the tower wants. What kind of work could someone like you create? Literature isn't defended by those lounging in cozy rooms, scribbling to soothing music.
Have you looked in a mirror, idealist? You've become a pathetic windmill-tilting fool, a monster tearing down everything around you.
A beast of prey, you mean? Naturally, a sheep would be appalled by the mere thought of such a creature. A fearful sheep caught in a vine, confusing the blade that would set it free with the jaws of a lion.
Such a master of metaphor. But I beg you, learn to distinguish right from wrong, fantasy from reality. Only then can you truly lead our people toward what's right.
Distinguish right from wrong? Don't make me laugh. Is that the limit of your vision?
You...
The impassioned leader jumps up onto a nearby bench, striking a dramatic pose before the crowd. He raises his arms and launches into a speech.
Friends, listen to me. There is no truer home to literature than a prison.
Skill issue? A blast of deafening sound, and all words fall from the air. The idealist's expression freezes. His eyes surge down. An ominous shade of crimson seeps out.
No. No!
The horrified Arcanist stumbles back, screaming.
Who did this? Hands behind your head and drop to your knees. All of you, now! This is your last warning.
Prisoners show no reaction to the jailer's final ultimatum. They stare at the idealist, unmoving.
Idealist, you're bleeding. It's in your chest.
Yeah, no shit. As his life drains away, the idealist appears unsurprised. He simply turns his head, turns his gaze toward Recoleta.
You must.
Yes. Idealist?
Unfinished words dissolve in silence as the prison itself begins to tremble. The entire exhibition hall twists and contorts, its surroundings warping beyond comprehension, as if dissolving and expanding reality.
What's going on?
The hall is still. Time seems frozen in place, until someone utters the first words.
Was he shot? Where did the bullet come from? Miss Jailer and you ladies over there, come give me a hand. We need to get into the physician.
Her words ignite the first spark.
Did you do this, Octavia? You couldn't face the burning truth of his words, so you pierced his very heart instead, just as it was blazing with the fire of justice. Or was it you, Jailer? Did you intend to crush the voice of poetry beneath your wheel of power? It has to be one of you devils in disguise. beasts and human skin.
Can't you see? I had nothing to do with this. I'm as innocent as any of you. I've been trying to keep order here, to protect everyone. And now you blame me?
Don't listen to her! The Idealist made it very clear! She's trying to get us punished for her own gain! You're a murderer, Octavia!
Prisoner's fury erupts. In the chaos, Senator blocks an arcane skill that pierces the air.
This is mad. You're accusing me without proof. It wasn't me.
This is getting out of hand. I suggest you ladies leave now.
No, wait! It all happened too fast. What happened to the Idealist? Is he alright? I didn't even get a chance to ask about Aleph.
As the tide of people surges around them, the line between life and death blurs beyond recognition.
I agree with the jailer. Timekeeper, Miss Recoleta, let's get out of here.
The violent conflict rages on, and everything else becomes meaningless. The illusion of time dissolves, its flow unknown. Under the Guardian's influence, the frenzy of prisoners began to resemble an unreadable, chaotic epic. At this moment, an unidentifiable figure enters the midst, though no one takes notice. The newcomer scrutinizes the motionless corpse.
His vitals are gone. At last, some peace and quiet. Well, for a liar and a thief like him, there's hardly a better end than this.
He reaches into the Idealist's coat pocket and pulls out a dice. An artifact marked by patterns veiled in smoke. An object seemingly not meant to exist in this world. A 20-sided die, known only through an omniscient perspective. Okay, so the Manus is definitely here. Or was here. Now it is stained with an utterly corrupted blackness.
Just as I thought. You had it all along.
Manus is definitely up to some shenanigans again. But now I have to read more. I think this is the last one. Hopefully. Whatever. Fate is like a mirror. Its strongest reflections are shaped by time. Up to this point, I have participated firsthand in several sessions of La Sociedad de las Americas. Those literacy experiments treated language as an advanced game, weaving reality and fiction into an invisible web, ensnaring everyone present in a maze of words. Never before have I been so intimidated by the literature of thought about it so deeply, or thought about it so deeply. I was amazed by how words could be so vividly express both playfulness and values. So that ordinary afternoon, when a poet named Eduardo was reciting his new piece with a refined rhythm, and Miss Octavia was discussing the state of Sao Paulo with me. No one noticed anything unusual about Mr. Julio's condition. Just like you wrote in the 10 Soldiers of Sao Paulo, great and flat in America lies in richness, and from that richness comes misfortune. One's poverty is another's feast. Suffering nourishes joy. They are like riverbanks clearly divided. This duality, this paradox, isn't precisely the kind of question we should be posing through literature. That of bone against the hard surface interrupts her. Julia's banging his head against the wall. Not enough. Not like this, you can't grasp space and time. Still missing essential language. The current language system, I cannot catch the ghost of time. I can only let it slip away. What's wrong with you? The panic Octavia. The other inmates around Julia seem unfazed. That wall is unscalable. But he told you I can lend you some of my bandages from last week if you need them. Germany's silent object. Any form of narration is futile.
What are you all standing around for? Can't you see Julio's hurting himself?
Octavia is clearly flustered. Bess Doris knows she must eliminate any outside interference that might obstruct her ability to help. Tell me, what do you see?
It's Mr. Julio. He's hurt. Bleeding.
Tried to break through the mirror of language with his head. See a wall? Doris has learned how to filter out the surreal embellishments typical of La Sociedad members. Correctly assess the situation. Mirror or wall, it doesn't matter. Clearly and without embellishment, what is Mr. Julia's condition? Muscles are spasming uncontrollably, as if jolted by cold electric currents. His face is tightening, twisting, struggling against the silent force. Expression keeps changing, first pain, then panic, finally blankness.
Sounds like he's having an epileptic seizure. Perhaps I could offer some help.
Guided by the sound of Julia's whimpers, Doris approaches. His head is
Please,
bloodied.
Miss Octavia, help me so I can help him.
Lay him down flat on his side. Flashing lights could worsen an epileptic seizure. It's your arcane skill meant limit life, so I must ask you to refrain from using it. Whether you retracts her incantation, presses down Julia's shoulder and lowers him on the cold hard floor. Doctor kneels quickly and turns the man on his side, preventing him from injuring himself any further. Gerald's convulsions begin to subside, but his body remains stiff. Took a disposable bite pad from the first take and carefully placed it in his mouth. Eventually, the situation came under control. Stabilized. There, everyone went straight back to the gathering as if it was only a minor inconvenience. Thank you for your help. The doctor responds with a silent smile.
You seem experienced. Was it a major part of your responsibilities in Sao Paulo?
Yes, saving others is my profession. Writing is my hobby. I home I am first and foremost a doctor. Most admiration as a doctor, a writer, and even more a person beyond any social categorization. Within the favelas, pointed the barrel at yourself before wielding your words as a weapon. Compared to you, I've achieved nothing of substance. All I do is wave ideals around, as if that's enough. Simply a writer who follows her curiosity. Right, I'm not qualified to provide you with any concrete advice, nor must I grade as you say.
You're well prepared for your vision and ambition, for modesty is such an essential part of writing, and you've just demonstrated a skillful use of introspection.
Thank you for your kind words.
I'd like to return to my room and think for a while. See you tomorrow. The idealist pursues his ideal to erect a magnificent vision atop a tower of literature. For those outside the tower, what good is that magnificence? Locked away in a prison, my words going no further than these walls. Even only have my life because of that of my wretched father.
It's foolish to think that ideas alone could ease people's pain.
We were not different from the heretics who were burned at the stake in the Middle Ages. Perhaps only professionals like Mr. Doctors with real expertise can truly save a person. Does this person have a doctor? Mental health kind of issue? He's not just a doctor, he's the overseer of this prison. I asked the idealist why the person in charge wasn't a regular jailer or police chief but a physician. As expected, he brushed me off some grandiose idealistic rhetoric. As the idealist always seemed so opposed to a physician. Daily suffering beset to him.
Puzzles on top of puzzles. Questions after questions. My head.
Her sigh echoes through the circular building, and soon is answered by a choir of other sighs.
I can't do this anymore.
Miss Octavia turned and walked away, and though she looked disheartened, I could still see the power of unwavering force that drove her forward. What would that force be for me? Looking back, and to reflect on myself, contemplate fate, like an invisible irreversible force. I really hope there's not much more of those. That is a lot more reading than I'm used to, at least out loud. The spider's web. Open it, reread it. Witness firsthand the events that transpired within the desert. Shino, I will find you.
Ladies, I must apologize for what happened back there. We were caught off guard. There has never been a commotion of that scale before. I must report this to the physician.
Don't worry, Miss Jailer. We made it out in one piece.
Thank you for your understanding. Ordinarily, I would arrange to escort you to a safer location, but I'm afraid at this hour you'll have missed the last train. And the roads are icy at night.
Hearing this, Recoletta exchanges a quick but meaningful expression with her companions.
Verdun, we can't leave like this. We appreciate your kind consideration, Miss Jailer, but we still have some unfinished business here.
I see. I'll arrange a clean room in a safer section for you. We'll do our best to ensure your safety tonight.
Night falls as the girls huddle together, scrutinizing their unfamiliar surroundings.
They actually found us a spare room.
Bleak, quiet, and somber. It's a cell like all the others. Don't worry. This isn't the first time we've ended up on the wrong side of the bars.
At least this time we're just here for the night, not a full sentence.
Sonetta lets out a whisper in
Though
protest.
this cell is quite different from the ones we've been in before. Not just the cell. The whole prison is unlike anything I've seen. And this society they've been running here isn't some mere pastime. They're having real discussions about meaningful topics, even though the rest of the world has been cut off from them.
But we're still in an Arcanist prison. A place where conflicts and violence can erupt at any moment. Let's not forget that. Miss Jailer warned us from the start. These prisoners are mentally unstable and potentially dangerous. Miss Recoleta, with all due respect, we can't afford to see this place through rose-colored glasses. We'd be overlooking the risks, as we did earlier.
And with all due respect, Soneto, we didn't overlook any danger. At least I didn't. A writer must be observant if she is to accurately reflect the world in her writing.
But you...
We came here with different goals, and still, none of them have been accomplished. I suggest we focus on our respective missions, instead of fighting with one another.
Apologies, Timekeeper. Miss Recoleta, I take back everything I said.
Don't apologize, Soneto. I'm at fault too. Sometimes I forget that words can be as sharp as swords. You were only thinking about our safety. I shouldn't have been so rude. I actually really admire how you fought back there. If you'd allow me, I'd like to write a poem for you, once my novel's finished.
That's terribly kind of you. But honestly, I think we've had enough poetry today to last a lifetime.
Let me know if you change your mind. By the way, did either of you see what happened to the Idealist?
Recalling their recent conflict, the Indomitable girl finally
The
hesitates.
jailer told me she went back to the gallery once everything calmed down. She found nothing. No blood, no shell cases, not even a trace of the Idealist.
Timekeeper, now's really not the time for ghost stories.
Do you mean
What
that
do you
maybe
mean?
the Idealist somehow managed to get out of there on his own?
True.
Or
Agreed.
perhaps someone else helped him?
Well, according to the Idealist, and our jailer, any inmates who are unwell will be taken to the physician. It's possible someone brought him there, while everyone else was shouting and running about.
You're right. It could be that he's with the physician right now. I'm relieved. That was a sudden plot twist, but a visionary of his magnitude doesn't deserve to die in silence like that.
It was definitely not silence.
To
There
be
was a
fair,
lot of
the
screaming.
gunshot was quite loud, as was the ensuing commotion.
Okay.
Nonetheless, he couldn't have just died like that. I mean, the writers would riot if a writer were to kill off a character so abruptly. But you believe he's still alive too, am I right?
She knows her words are merely a cover. She needs an answer. A real, undeniable answer.
There's nothing that we can be certain of for now. But on a brighter note, we didn't come back empty-handed from our mission either, Soneto. We found Dr. Dorez's signature in the gallery. You were right all along, Recoleta. She was here.
But we didn't see her at the gathering. Could something have happened to her, like with the Idealist?
Do you think she was also sent to the physician and never made it back?
This is all just speculation. If we want to find the Idealist, or Dr. Dorez, we need to speak to this physician first. Miss Recoleta, do you believe that the Idealist could be your pen pal, Aleph?
Whether he is or not, he's still my best lead.
The name touches the nerve once again.
Amigas, I've had this strange feeling in my gut since we got here. Something is slowing us down. Now, to figure out what it is...
A silent fear grips her, like ripples suddenly tearing on a once still lake, unsettling in its quiet disturbance.
Look, it's a wild guess, but just wait till I finish. It feels like everything happening in this prison is somehow connected to my novel, El auge y la caída de la cordura.
We're no strangers to wild guesses, and sometimes they're closer to the truth than you'd think. So this...
The rise and fall of sanity.
Sorry. What exactly is your story about?
The question scatters the midnight gloom. Outside, the moonlight spills over gray-white snow.
Huh. Nunca pensé que te interesaría. It starts
Sorry, it's been a while since I told it from the beginning. A few years ago, I worked as a forest ranger. It happened in a desert town called Amalfitano, in Sonora, back in 1975.
Two patient listeners watch the stammering girl, waiting for the next part of her story.
You know what? Most people say the beginning's a bit hard to get into, except for Aleph. I'm thinking of rewriting it, but if you like the sound of it so far, maybe I could read you the latest part I just finished?
She studies her readers' expressions, guessing madly at their responses.
Please. Todo empezó con los datos de frecuencia de las cintas. El patrón general parecía haber cambiado. Al principio, la investigadora de paracausalidad lo atribuyó a un error estadístico. Un fallo, tal vez. Oh, sorry. But after a few days and long nights of meticulous calculations, that explanation only became less and less plausible. The odds of success and failure kept shifting, and the chance of repeating the previous result kept growing. It was as if someone had tampered with the rules and tweaked it to their liking. She took her findings to Amalfitano, the town of nothing, as they called it then. Near the old looms, she met a blind weaver who spoke softly of an old tale. I heard a strange rustling at dawn, like a die rolling along a wooden floor. Then the morning light dimmed and died. That was the last time I saw the sun, my own hands, or the threads I worked with. The second time I heard the die roll, I was told the oxen in the fields sank to their knees and never stood again. By the third roll, the fields were crawling with frogs. Plows ran over them, and some still writhed, squeezing themselves deeper into the cracks in the earth. The fourth time the die rolled, 10 dormice plunged into the sea in a strange sleepwalk, and 10 bears feasted for the last time before winter arrived. The final roll of the die was cast in a cage during a duel. Before a crowd of eager eyes, the winner left with 10 pounds of gold, and the loser left with 10 flies, which fell on him to feast.
Quiet spreads through their cell like a rolling tide.
Seems like it.
Well, there's more, but I haven't quite figured those parts out yet. Any thoughts? Anything. I can take it. Please, I really need some feedback.
I wonder if the protagonist ever finds this Die of Babylon in the end.
Oh, Verton, it isn't a real die, it's just a metaphor.
Oh, I see. I must have missed that. Sorry. Still, it's a beautiful story. Sad, but beautiful.
The story is still too obscure, isn't it? Aleph warned me about this. In our last correspondence, he suggested adding the blind weaver to shed light on the hidden theme. It helped at first, but even with a sage advice, no matter how hard I tried, the plot just didn't seem to move forward. Feel stuck in that village with them, lost, dazed, isolated inside their small, disconnected moments. Something crucial is missing, leaving gaps between the characters and the scenes. Should I change the storyteller's perspective? Start a different angle? Or maybe rewrite the characters completely? What should I do?
You Before the writer sinks into a swirling vortex of self-doubt, someone decides to push for something tangible.
Apologies, but you said your story somehow connects to what's happening here in the Panopticon. What makes you think that?
It's a strange feeling. Like, everything here belongs to a dream I once had. Only, I can't remember it.
Do you mean that you have a sense of deja vu? It's nothing to worry about. Our psychiatrist friend Kakania told me those moments are often the result of a dysfunctional connection between two parts of the brain. Like a little glitch in our heads.
No, it's nothing like deja vu.
The storyteller snaps back, lightly agitated.
Deja vu is a single moment, a specific situation. But here it's everything.
Kanya mentioned.
La sociedad, the rules, the idealist, even the incidents in the gallery. Each one unfolds in a similar pattern, like the grooves on a record, telling a story I feel I've listened to before. Amalfitano and Comala. They're two sides of that same record, playing out the same tune. Whatever happens in my story seems to be happening here too. I had that feeling when I met you as well, Miss Verton. At first I thought it was only an interesting coincidence. You're much like the first character in my story. A traveler with a suitcase.
Descriptive. The girl rambles on, desperately relating to her characters.
But then I realized, the doctor, your Doris, she's like the blind weaver who lost her sight to the dye despite having always been faithful to it. And the jailer, she's the bank clerk who assisted the corporation in taking over the town in order to escape her past. And the idealist, he's the murdered donkey driver, and the dye of Babylon. No. Mis queridos amigos ficticios. ¿Qué rayos les está pasando? Wait. Are you saying that everyone we've met here matches a character from your story? Like some kind of archetype?
There's a moth in my room.
That sounds unbelievable. But then again, maybe you're onto something. You see the world through a different lens that none of us share. Not just the characters. The events here are mirroring my story too. Aleph, he's the only one who truly understood my story. If things are playing out just like my novel, then maybe Aleph is in fact still here. Are you suggesting that someone is controlling the Panopticon in order to make it follow the same plot as your story? That they've set the rules, started the poetry group, planned the attack on the idealist, and tried to prevent us from finding Dr. Dorez? If that's true, Miss Recoleta, it's very likely that the one acting against us is in fact Aleph himself.
Recolette never expected the chain of reasoning to unravel this way.
But No. How could that be possible?
She interrupts, only for confusion to creep onto her face moments later.
Why? Why would he do this? I don't see any reason why he'd be connected. He's an intelligent, cultured, and profound person, not a common killer. No, none of this adds up.
Remember, Dr. Doris was brought to Ushuaia by the Xeno rebels. And we know they're connected to Manus Vindicte. If this Aleph really is hiding Doris from us, he may be working with them.
Recoleta stares blankly for a time before clumsily shifting the topic.
Oh, my... Soneto. I didn't know you had such a flair for stories. Maybe you should join us and become a visceral realist too. I think you're only imagining things. Perhaps you were inspired by this strange prison? Perhaps we all need to start writing our own stories. Come out now. Whoever's out there, speak up. How can we help you?
Who's there?
two were beating up this time.
I'll do my best. I'll be right here. Time to turn the page. You have a little faith in me, Master. Or this one. A fragment of truth. Ew, it's dark and great. To transcribe. I will be watching you. The what? This book? Don't be afraid.
Easy video
Now
game.
back to the salon.
The central tower. To read this time. The central tower. A silent and merciless order of ideals.
Easy, easy. It's me, Garcia. We met at the gallery earlier. Please, I come in peace.
Recoleta pays no mind to the young man's expressions. Her focus holds on the woman beside him.
It's you, Octavia! The murderer herself!
Please, calm yourself, Miss Recoleta. The jailer has already confirmed that she wasn't the one to fire at the idealist. The shot came from somewhere else in the room.
Recoleta bites her lip, giving up a little space to the intruders.
Miss Octavia, what brings you here at this hour?
I come here out of goodwill. Believe me, I didn't want any bloodshed either. I understand you just arrived today. There's something you need to know about the inmates here.
Their visitor's expressions is weary and low.
We're outcasts, rejected by society and literature, and our privileges are limited within these walls. But before I started my own literature group, I struck a deal with the Panopticon authorities. If we cooperate and stay out of trouble, they'd leave us be. We could discuss literature freely and openly in Comala. Such a thing may seem trivial to you, but this is of immense importance to us.
Oh, there's no happier thing in this world than discussing literature. No one should ever put limits on it.
You're right, Recoleta. But we're prisoners here. There are certain rules we have to follow. Except, the idealist didn't see it our way. He refused to compromise, believing that the long poem and his so-called ism could break us free from the cage of the ever-watchful eye.
Perhaps he was right. You might have achieved more if you'd listened to him. After all, visceral realism keeps us connected to who we are.
You have to believe in the truth of visceral realism, because out there, beyond these walls, many of us still do.
I still don't know what it is.
And what has it changed? Garcia, you're the latest inmate here. Tell us, 3 months ago, before they arrested you and took you here, what has the visceral realism movement accomplished out there?
Besides them, Garcia, who has been patiently leaning against the railing, produces a metallic vibration on its gates. A rough paper roll burns between his lips.
At first, it was revolutionary. Young poets joined in droves. We held gatherings. And the literary world seemed alive again. I was just a kid when the leading poets
Very
left the
empty.
city. Everyone thought it was only temporary. But they didn't come back. And nothing has happened since.
No thoughts said
No
empty.
one says it. But we all know. Visceral realism died in 1977.
No, not for me. It's not dead as long as people still believe in it. I believe in it.
Octavia ignores the childish remark. She knows that conviction can be as fragile as a spider's web.
Belief, faith, what is this obsession with the true self? Why does your type always insist on there being a true self hiding beneath our roles in society? Our disciplines?
Look at the idealist. He never once stopped fighting for what he believed in, even long after he was put behind these bars.
Idealist, what a name he gave himself. Who will he be when he finally breaks free from the eyes of this central tower? When he is left without his willful audience? And nobody. That's what. And that is a truth even he is terrified of.
Miss Octavia, I hope you've come with something more important to share than just some criticism of the idealist.
You're right. I have an important message for you. Dr. Torres, I heard you were looking for her. The woman from the Sao Paulo Veterans Residence. She used to write under the name Erd, didn't she?
Yes, that's right. Do you know her? You're the first person I've met here to speak plainly about her. Do you know where she might be?
We crossed paths, but only briefly. I'm not sure where she's gone. Maybe the authorities know. However, she left this with me. I think you'll need it more than I do.
Octavia hands over her personal folder. Before they might open it, he has already turned to leave.
We have other matters to attend to. I'll leave you to your business. Garcia, shall we?
Their visitors leave in haste, their faces and expressions obscured by the night's shadows. The Foundation's investigators open the worn manuscript folder with caution.
The physician told me the horrifying truth about the panopticon of Kamala and the power behind it. Manus Vindictae. By becoming the panopticon's sole patron, they seized control of the resources and the allocation system, turning this place into a living hell. I suspect that the physician, the current highest authority here, is responsible for this situation. I discovered that the inmates were put through brutal training, even when they were too sick to carry out their tasks. They also forced pure-blood Arcanist inmates to wear their masks, effectively turning them into murmuring puppets.
Just as we suspected. Manus Vindictae is orchestrating everything. No wonder we didn't find them in the city. They've been hiding here all along.
No one would have thought to come looking for them here.
He snapped the folder shut. A familiar signature, seen on the forward page of the U2 magazine, and the receipt found in Sao Paulo's heartfelt home.
But why would Miss Octavia bring this to us? What's in it for her? Do you think she's trying to mislead us, Timekeeper?
Maybe. But the handwriting in that notebook is most certainly Erd's. If she's leading us astray on purpose, why? Miss Recoleta, what do you think? Could she be Aleph?
Not a chance. Haven't you seen how she denies everything beautiful in the world? Aleph would never be so biased. No. Aleph is like a mirror. He reflects both light and shadow. But, Octavia, maybe she hasn't looked at the shadow within for a long time. I know that look on her face. It's the look of a writer. I've seen so many like her during my trip. The faces of a lost, struggling generation.
Under the night sky, Kamala Prison stands like a forgotten gravestone covered by fine, cold snow. In a room repurposed from a prison cell, 3 girls in search of someone share an absurd, bizarre tale. Meanwhile, the entrance of a central watchtower, a jaguar knocks on a secure door.
Dr. Merlin, I'm here to report on today's events.
Come in.
Frantic writing breaks the quiet of the room. The jailer's visit does not deter the man behind the desk. He continues writing, fully absorbed, as if each letter were filling the world around him.
There was a commotion in the gallery today, sir. An inmate known as the Idealist was severely injured. The inmates nearby said he lost consciousness from blood loss. However, after we put everyone back in their cell, the Idealist was gone. I made a sweep of the grounds, but there was no trace of him. It's possible that he regained consciousness and went into hiding. I'll perform a full search tomorrow.
The jaguar finds herself unexpectedly concealing the truth from Pablo.
No need.
Yep, it is Aleph.
Sir?
He knew the consequences of breaking the rules, did he not?
Sir, with all due respect, I think today's
I
incident
was
proved
correct.
just how dangerous it is to let the inmates keep their weapons. We never should have let them walk around with deadly weapons. Even if we had to, we should have doubled the guards. We can't expect them to follow their own rules simply out of fear of the central tower.
Yeah. Why would you let the prisoner have a gun? The physician interrupts her sharply, with no hint of concern.
Such matters fall beyond your purview, jailer. You only need to do what's required of your title. Is there anything else?
There's
Why
another
not?
thing. 2 guests from the Foundation came through today. They said they were looking for someone named Doris.
Sounds like a really easy way to get prisoners to break out or fight. Shoot someone dead.
They've shown a willingness to cooperate, though they were involved with the incident in Corridor Zero.
The sound of writing continues. The report is disregarded. The tailor takes a deep breath. The next part is difficult to say.
Sir, there is one more thing. I told Miss Octavia we're short on rations, and she's adjusted the inmates' portions accordingly, but that won't last long. Manus Vindicti stopped providing supplies back in March, and Sino has collected all the prisoners they had previously placed in her custody. I just wonder why they have so suddenly withdrawn from Ushuaia and brought all the prisoners with them. I also noticed that we haven't received any orders from the government since Warden Tartuffe was transferred. In fact, we haven't had any communication with them at all. Sir, in frank terms, we're facing down a serious shortage of medicine, food, and basic supplies. At this rate, the Panopticon will soon be unable to operate. Where will our inmates go then?
The man before her says nothing for a long time, his pen still flickering over the page.
Can we ask the Foundation for help? They've sent their people here. Maybe they're interested in the Panopticon? I could arrange a meeting if you like.
You're unusually talkative today.
The man finally stops writing and looks up.
Pardon, sir?
That's fascinating, you know. You've become so much more concerned about this place and its inmates than when you first started. You are now dictated by your title.
I didn't mean to overstep. I'm sorry.
You can go now. I have a great deal of work to do. Oh, and one more thing.
He beckons the jailer back before she leaves.
Make sure this month's Kamala Congress is held according to schedule.
Yes, sir.
The jaguar disappears beyond the door, metallic footsteps fading into the distance. Only then does the physician allow his oppressed frustration to surface.
How many times have I warned you about this? The idealist has to go. He's nothing but trouble for us. You're too soft on him, Aleph. Look at the mess he has us in now. Calm down. He's a rabble-rousing thief, a self-destructive maniac, a snake in the grass. He even stole the Tea of Kamala from me. He's nearly ruined everything we've worked for.
The man angrily raises the once lost and now found die. In the dim room, it flickers with a comforting glow.
It's only a die, Merlin. It does nothing more than a die can do. You were there today. You saw what he did. He managed to change the panopticon with this die, even if only for a second. He'll ruin my work, Aleph. He's a slave to his passion. His head is filled with impulsive thoughts. I don't trust him. We can't trust him. I've done everything you've asked. Now it's time to do your part.
Aleph responds with indifference, the physician's frustrations, continuing his writing without pause.
Time's ticking down. I can't afford any further mistakes. No one can be permitted to stop my experiment in the panopticon. I'll prove it to them. That we have found the path to the ultimate answer.
Sure, nothing bad will happen. How long is this? About 18, so about halfway through. The antmill. The truth is, no one can truly bend fate.
La cabaña con el techo azul estaba silenciosa como siempre. En un sueño fugaz, la investigadora de paracausalidad descubrió la verdad detrás del dado de Babilonia. Examinó cuidadosamente los patrones ocultos, como un astuto astrólogo rastrea los movimientos de las estrellas. Lo que pueda parecer errores o accidentes no niega las verdades del destino. Por el contrario, afirman su existencia. Solo pregúntale al gran Heráclito. En un universo no observado, el dado de Babilonia gira perpetuamente, dictando el destino de todos en un tiempo que es tanto infinitamente largo como infinitamente corto. Mira, cerró los ojos. Respetaba la aleatoriedad de los números y el destino. Respetaba el juicio del dado. De lo contrario, se habría perdido sumisamente en los huecos del tiempo y bajaría para siempre como un fantasma en el olvido.
In the solemn prison hall, under the half-light of the next day, the prisoners of Kamala gather. Octavia steps onto the podium with a stern expression.
First, allow me to make one thing clear. I had absolutely nothing to do with what happened to the idealist yesterday. I swear it on my career as a writer. As you all know, the idealist and I are the representatives of the two factions of La Sociedad de Poetas de las Américas. As you also know, we have been at peace since the Let Sleeping Dogs Lie agreement was signed a few months ago.
Why is
Despite
that
our
text
differing
clipping?
views, we have coexisted to this day under the watchful gaze of the Central Tower. Rest assured that we will work tirelessly to locate the missing idealist.
It definitely means something, but I am not even smart enough to figure out what it means.
Don't put so much pressure on yourself, Miss Octavia. His death wasn't your fault. After all, he was the one who threw the first verbal dagger.
The murmurs cascading below each of the ears of the prisoners from another faction.
Show some respect, you morons. The idealist is missing, not dead. I'm sure he'll show up in one piece before we know it.
Better face the hard truth now, Roberta. Though, I have to say, it won't be easy for you to find a new leader as mad as him.
A polite cough from the hostess pauses the heated debate.
Please, everyone, quiet down. According to the agreement, today's Congress should have been chaired by the idealist. Since he is still missing, I will be acting on his...
Pardon my lateness. Go ahead. I'm ready to moderate.
Unfamiliar footsteps break the regular pattern of events. The jailer leads her visitors to the entrance of the prison hall.
Miss Worth, I looked over the incarceration and visitor records from the past 6 months. There was no mention of anyone named Doris.
Then it seems only the physician knows the whereabouts of Dr. Torres. Miss Jailer, we need to meet with the physician. It's important.
Listen, you really shouldn't take the inmates' ramblings too seriously.
Considering the identity of the person before her, the jailer softens her tone.
But if it's as critical as you say, I'll make another request later. That said, I'm afraid the meeting won't happen for at least a few days.
Understood.
For now, please join us for today's Congress.
Espectacular! Do you hold literary salons like this every day? This place is practically a writer's paradise. So, you're the host of the salon, Octavia? I say we set aside our differences and have a titillating literary discussion.
You've come at the right time. You may serve as witnesses for the Congress alongside the jailer, like a citizen's jury in a court.
Your suggestion aligns with the congressional rules. Very well.
Huh? Congress? Witnesses? Isn't this a salon? Which topic are we discussing? Literary theories? Schools? Principles? Languages? Oh, narrative perspectives?
None of those.
Octavia lowers her head, giving her questioner a long and deep look.
This Congress is about the randomness of fate, Miss Recoleta.
Randomness of fate?
As she sinks into the confusion and bewilderment, the jailer's voice rises into triumphant introduction.
Dear visitors from the Foundation, allow me to introduce the Kamala Congress. What happened yesterday was merely a brief anomaly. In the Panopticon, spontaneous order among the inmates is the norm, and the Kamala Congress serves as its truest reflection.
Spontaneous order?
Yes. Through the Congress, the inmates assign and distribute medication, communal duties, and rest periods. They are entirely self-regulated.
Her tone is filled with pride.
I hereby announce the commencement of the 7th Kamala Congress.
As her words fall, Octavia Torn takes out a worn lottery box with a small trinket from her hand. The prisoners move in perfect order, like a swarm of
A
ants.
cardboard box, and is that a paper die? It has 20 sides.
Huh?
We carefully examine hidden patterns, much like an astute astrologer tracks the movements of the stars.
Isn't this...
From somewhere in the audience, the girl unconsciously mumbles a revelation.
Isn't this just like the Die of Babylon? The MacGuffin that weaves through the entire plot? The infinite symbiote of fate? And the symbol that compresses time into a shriveled circle?
What may seem like errors or accidents doesn't negate the verities of destiny. On the contrary, they affirm its very existence. Just ask the great Heraclito. In an unobserved universe, the die spins in perpetuity.
Dictating the fate of all in time that is both infinitely long and infinitely short?
Look, I've closed my eyes. I respect the randomness of numbers and destiny. I respect the die's judgment.
As the prisoners recite their announcements, the author's voice becomes more and more sluggish.
Otherwise, we will acquiesce and lose ourselves in the gaps of time and wander forever as ghosts in oblivion.
I don't understand what's going on. Oh, but the irony that I probably have more idea what's going on than anyone here. Miss Recoleta, this is all in your novel, isn't it? I'm afraid so. The recitations, the references to an astrologer and Heraclito, they couldn't possibly be just a coincidence. Then, could it be? Will they look to the die to dictate their fate?
The girl's audible shock does not affect the proceedings on stage. The Congress continues.
I shall perform the first roll. Its result will determine the subsequent roll order for this Congress.
The hostess tossed the 20-sided die into the cardboard box, then shaking
The
it rhythmically.
result is 5. This check complies with the prerequisite conditions of the ruling of the die, and the standard roll order has been established. Inmate Jose, please come forth. You are the first in the initiative order. Therefore, fate's judgment shall fall upon you before all else.
Me? Oh, okay.
The prisoner steps forward, taking the fragile box in his hands, shaking it to throw the die of absurd fate inside. Just like that, a simple number decides his fate.
17! It's 17! Ah, what a wonderful number! 17! Like an oasis in an endless desert.
The result is 17, and the score combination 6 plus 4 plus 4 plus 3. According to the ruling of the die, he shall receive 60 risperidone tablets, 40 clozapine tablets, and 40 diazepam tablets. Additionally, he will assume the role of cultural manager of the Comala Congress. Before he takes office, inmate Jose must clean the first restroom for the next 7 days.
Wonderful! I'll gladly clean the toilet. I've got the brooms here, the toilet detergent, oh, and the toilet brush too. I have been waiting for this opportunity. As cultural manager, I will speak with every inmate and complete the Comala memoir, finally capturing the moments when literary sparks ignite and explode.
Next is inmate Eduardo. Please come forth.
The man in question is a nervous mess. His gaze flickers. His eyebrows fight for space on his forehead, and his teeth clash against each other in turmoil.
But I can't remember the ruling of the die. I can't remember anything. Damn it. Sorry, Senora Octavia, but I don't think I can do this. I didn't get any medication in the last Congress. I've had multiple episodes. It's like my brain's jammed or something.
It's all right, inmate Eduardo. It's easy. You don't need to know the rules to roll the die. Give me your hand, I'll help you.
The prisoner follows suit, hands trembling as he shakes the box. The only thing he can do.
My sincerest apologies.
Skill
inmate
issue?
Eduardo. The die dictates that you must voluntarily descend into the sewers and write the thematic keyword that currently causes you the most anxiety on the walls.
Natural one.
Thank you very much, Miss Octavia. I think my head's about to split in half. I need a moment to rest before I head down there and fulfill my destiny.
Clutching his head, the prisoner leaves, his steps heavy, his hands empty, but his brow finally falling with at ease.
Jailer, are you really letting them make every decision with the roll of a die? Eduardo is clearly in a much more dire condition than Jose. The medication should have been given to him.
As I said, this is how the inmates of the Panopticon maintain order. The physician periodically provides medication, food, and other necessities, and the inmates distribute them in this spontaneous and efficient manner. Neither authority nor violence is involved in this process. This is what sets Kamala apart from all other custodial facilities.
Is that it? You abdicate all agency to the roll of a paper die and call it the randomness of fate? What kind of sick joke is this?
Please calm down, Recoleta. This is the method that the inmates have collectively decided to recognize. They're prepared to face the possible sacrifices that it brings. This isn't about you or me. It's not our place to interfere with a procedure that has been proven both pragmatic and effective. My duty is to assist the inmates in maintaining order through the methods that they have established. And yours is to witness their self-governance, not judge it.
Jailer takes a deep breath, her words clearly meant to convince herself as much as anyone listening.
If everything somehow unfolds as it does in my novel, then every role is already predetermined. Verton, do you remember the story I told you last night? The odds of both success and failure were consecutively multiplied. I remember. As soon as a character experiences a failure, they continue to suffer failures in an endless chain reaction. None of Eduardo's future dice rolls will ever result in a number higher than 10.
Skill issue.
At this rate, this system, this sociedad, ruled by the dice of Babylon, is bound to collapse.
She looks around, realizing that her words, weighty as they seem to her, have garnered no attention.
Eduardo will never receive any medication. The moment he writes the keyword on the wall could very well be the moment he spells out his own death. No, I can't let this happen. I have to do something.
Recoleta rushes to the stage.
Wait, Miss Recoleta, what are you doing?
Not reading. It's not reading. It's fine. Okay, well that is reading, but I'm not gonna read it on stream.
Few soldiers would appreciate the idea of taking orders from an accursed die. A skilled commander would never rely on luck to make decisions. On the battlefield, the distance for every maneuver should be clear and precise, not two numbers with a D in the middle. Unless you're looking to invite a mutiny. That said, if a die with such power were placed in a soldier's hand, I'm pretty sure they'd roll it and let it decide their destiny.
Luck won't always be on your side.
Exactly. There's no good luck without bad luck. Just as a coin must have two sides. Luck essentially defines one's entire life. And whether it's make or break, life or death, the die will keep on rolling. Of course, dice aren't the only tools used to play with fate. Coins, lotteries, even shells on the beach can all serve the same purpose. Thanks to the randomness of fate, a Babylonian may rise to be a proconsul one day and fall into slavery the next.
Some tragedies could have been avoided.
Well, that's where historians come in. With a little creative editing of the history books, even the random rolls of a die can suddenly make sense. What were once avoidable tragedies are rebranded as reasonable incidents, or even desirable outcomes.
At least the roll of a die is impartial.
You're starting to sound like a gambler. But even gamblers, after hitting a hot streak or a losing spell, start to convince themselves that they've figured out the grand pattern behind games of chance. It isn't just gamblers either. Witches tried to influence fate through rituals and charms. Ancient mathematicians calculated probabilities on paper. Some even wrote books on game theory. Meanwhile, others suspected there were cheaters among them. I just hope these high rollers unite to confront the demon who holds the laws of the universe, the past, present, and future, in its claws, and give it a well done and a slap in the face.
Talking circles today.
Haven't I always? It's just that today, the die rolled a peculiar number. But all things considered, I prefer the other kind of commander. The die is cast. But regardless of what number has been rolled, it's time to cross the river.
Is next boss. Probably 13 or so. Spelling error? Spelling error. Game's ruined. I'm gonna try to get to the next boss, but I am getting a little tired. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to. If there's another reading section, I'll probably just end there. Soothsayer, World Maker. The goddess delights in toying with the piety of her believers. The luck when gambling. On the stage, Octavia remains the picture of serenity. She orchestrates the Congress.
Miss Recoleta, as a witness to the Congress, you have the right to express your doubts calmly.
Listen, you...
She recalls the complaints of her two former companions, the jailer's dismissals, and the confused expressions on every editor she has ever faced. If she were to lay out every detail of her novel here and now, she would only get the same response.
No, it's nothing. It's just that I'd like to participate in the dice rolling ceremony. May I?
Of course. The very fact that you're standing here in the Panopticon proves that you share a common fate with it.
Recoleta serve as the prisoners, waiting to cast their die. Their expressions are serene, untroubled, calmly awaiting their fate. The joys of misfortunes of those before them do not affect the long, winding queue in the slightest. She takes a deep breath.
It doesn't matter when I roll the die, since the rolls are simply a reflection of the randomness of fate, right?
Precisely.
Then I'd like to perform my role after the 27th inmate. Is that alright?
As you wish, Miss Recoleta.
And murder.
I'll do my best.
Angela got replaced.
Más allá del concepto mundano del tiempo. I'll be right here. Time to turn the page. Cosmología, filosofía clásica, el fundamento del mundo.
Find the enemy.
In or don't worry, it's been proven safe. Nuestro adversario es el tiempo. To read, all in moderation.
Nothing happens.
Más allá del concepto mundano del tiempo.
Would you care to lie down?
I can't. Mis aliados la verdad.
A fragment of truth. Look at you. So broken.
Nuestro adversario es el tiempo.
I will be watching you.
Crazy, wait.
Easy video game.
Was I help?
It seems fate favors you, Miss Recoleta. Here are your supplies. Please be sure to follow the distribution rules of the Congress. This is an essential structure of Comala, and a belief shared by all its inmates. Honor it.
Just as I suspected. These supplies belong to me now, Octavia. I'm free to use them however I please.
Recoleta strides towards Eduardo, who was curled up in a distant corner, clutching his head, as his body trembles in silence.
Here, Eduardo. Take them.
But I haven't fulfilled my destiny yet. These precious tablets and capsules, I can't accept them. They are gifts from fate. The die has placed them in your palm.
But I don't need them. You do.
Thank you, kind senorita.
Prisoner's trembling stops. His blankly pinches his arm, as if trying to distinguish reality from dream. Then all at once, he snatches the medication from her hands and shoves it into his mouth.
Eduardo, what's wrong? Are you taking the medicine right now? There's no need to rush. There's plenty of it. You can have it all.
Por Dios, Eduardo! How could you squander fate's gifts like this?
Stella, I think stream might be like 30 seconds behind for you. So that was a little while ago.
Kind señorita, please, give me the medication. I need it more than anyone else.
No, I'm the one who needs the most. Give me the medication. I beg of you. With the protection of these amulets, I might finally be able to get a peaceful night's sleep. No more trembling floors and wailing ghosts.
Glitchy text. The prisoners shove and struggle, countless hands reaching towards the hapless rider, trying to snatch the small round pills of salvation.
Enough! Enough!
A blue glow spreads through the room, forcing the prisoners to clutch their heads and fall down to their knees. Their riot comes to an abrupt halt.
You shouldn't have done that, Miss Recoleta. Your ignorant generosity could shatter the very basis of our survival.
She steps toward Eduardo, now writhing in pain, and picks up a few stray capsules scattered at his feet. The pill dissolves into a stream of voided sand, vanishing as it pours through her fingers.
We have never had such chaos at the Congress. Understand this. We rely only on the randomness of fate to distribute supplies and assign responsibilities. If you disrupt the status quo, the entire system of the Panopticon will collapse beyond repair. It is only by respecting the arbitrariness of fate and adhering to the rules of the Die of Babylon that we have kept this place functioning all this time.
The Die of Babylon? Tell me, how did you know this name? Are you the one orchestrating this whole thing?
Recoleta, equally confused and furious, grabs the hostess's collar.
¿Podría ser? ¿Eres Aleph? ¿Tal como sospechaba Verdun?
Let go of me, Miss Recoleta. Have you gone mad? The roll of the die is absolutely random. I'm not orchestrating anything. Before the Congress began, I made an oath. I intend to keep it.
Please, calm down, Miss Recoleta. I think she's telling the truth.
Let's go of her grip as the reality of the situation dawns on her.
Sorry, Octavia, but please, you have to tell me how you learned about the Die of Babylon. I must know. Only my pen pal and I should have any knowledge about this die.
I heard about it from the physician. He described it as a symbol of collective consciousness that we could harness to maintain immaculate order in the Panopticon. The Comala Congress was coined, iterated, and perfected by the physician based on this concept.
The physician again. Everything eventually leads back to him, just as we suspected.
I see.
Recoleta casts her eyes over to the silent jaguar, who has remained wordless from beginning to end, watching it all unfold.
Jailer, we have to meet with the physician in person. Now.
As I've told you many times, Dr. Merlin is too busy at the moment. I couldn't possibly trouble him over a novel and a pen pal. They are just fantasies.
Couldn't you make an exception? What if they're not just fantasies? What if they're tied to the very survival of this place? Miss Recoleta said the Panopticon could collapse because of the Die of Babylon.
Are you seriously telling me you believe that nonsense?
It wasn't nonsense, nor are they fantasies. You saw with your own eyes how I won the die roll.
It was just a coincidence.
The jailer's words are at odds with the subtle motions of her eyes and face. The Foundation investigator sees on a prime opportunity to apply pressure.
What if we present you with stronger evidence to prove it's more than just a coincidence? If everything in the Panopticon proceeds according to Miss Recoleta's novel as she says, she should be able to predict what happens next, including the roll results of the absolutely random die.
That's right. The Die of Babylon isn't random at all. It's nothing but a supercilious fraud veiled under the guise of fate, and an actor of the inescapable loop of history. And not one of you is paying attention to me whatsoever. Ugh, to hell with this era of ignoring unknown writers.
Miss Recoleta, please make your prediction for the next inmate's die roll. This way, you can prove to Miss Jailer the irrefutable connection between Kamala and your novel, The Rise and Fall of Sanity.
You finally remembered its name! Oh, what sweet balm to my spirit!
Miss Octavia, please continue the Congress and let the next inmate perform their role. Then Miss Recoleta's statement will be proven true.
The hostess of the Congress remains non-committal.
I appreciate the reminder. No matter the interruption, the Comala Congress must go on. Though not for Miss Recoleta's sake, of course. Next inmate, please.
Following the die's designated order, the next prisoner steps up the roll.
Hello, inmate Garcia. You know what to do.
Of course.
La sexta cara. Un pilar roto. El flujo de la fortuna y la calamidad. So the result of the next roll will be a 6.
Her prophetic precision plunges the all of new encounters into breathless
As
silence.
fate reveals, the number is 6.
Just as Miss Recoleta predicted.
That could still be a coincidence. Do it again.
La 13ª cara. Una cadencia desconcertante, sin un verdadero principio ni fin. La 4ª cara. Un hombre que se ahogaba usó el último de sus fuerzas para nadar a la seguridad, solo para descubrir que había confundido un espejo con la superficie del lago. La 17ª cara cojeaba hacia el distante oasis, solo para que la débil humedad y la inquietante quietud revelaran cruelmente que era un espejismo. La 6ª cara, otro pilar roto con grietas idénticas a la última, confirmó la hipótesis de la investigadora de paracausalidad. Este lugar solía ser un edificio circular. Is that enough? I've almost finished the entire chapter.
It's not possible.
One coincidence after another begins to stir into an uproar. The coincidences appear endless.
Who are you?
I'm sorry if this comes as a shock to you, but I did warn you, Octavia. Now it's proven. The Die of Babylon is anything but the so-called randomness of fate.
Have you been sent here by some god? Or are you a hobby prophet? Have you brought this knowledge to save us? Or to shatter our beliefs? Our world?
A question destined never to need an answer. She lets her eyes fall into the cardboard box, down to the 20-sided die. The ridiculousness of its nature becomes starkly visible.
What is this thing in my hand? What are we? What is this prison?
I don't know if it's some kind of sorcery or arcane skill, but it's unfathomable. I'll take you to the physician. Not because of your earlier request, but because the situation has escalated beyond my means. The overseer of the Panopticon will decide how to handle your situation.
To be honest, Miss Recoleta, I wasn't sure you'd be able to correctly predict everything.
Timekeeper, are you saying that you risked everything on a hunch?
It worked, didn't it?
Come with me. Dr. Merlin's office is in the central tower.
As for her part, the now vindicated writer follows at the end of the line, letting her mind race
En
like
la
a bullet
sexta
train.
versión de mi novela, todos en el pueblo mueren a causa del dado de Babilonia. Porque solo la muerte puede cerrar el ciclo de la historia. Y carcelero, eres el empleado del banco, ¿verdad? Entonces, al final, también sufrirás un colapso como el empleado del banco, cuando se da cuenta de que él y el pescador de dunas son la misma persona. If all of this is tied to the rise and fall of sanity, then, as its creator, I will get to the bottom of this.
Right, there's another reading one. Probably just do it, but am I at? Wouldn't hurt. Yeah, that's just 5-star. Wait. I'm gonna try to push to the next boss chapter. I actually don't really know what's considered a boss chapter in the main story ones. So I will go to 13, probably. The boundary shatters, and an astrologer glimpses an unspeakable truth. After that, I attended several more literacy salons and wrote things I had never dared write before. Miss Octavia, however, never made an appearance. I didn't see her face for quite some time. That was until I followed some prisoners to a large hall and heard her voice among a group of unfamiliar inmates. She noticed me and greeted me warmly. He told me she had been working on some new initiatives. He told me of her hopes to gather more support to improve conditions in this prison and initiate a spiritual shift called realism and resistance. I truly believed back then that everything was headed in the right direction. Before all eyes, the host of the assembly, the idealists, step up to the podium. By the randomness of fate, we have gathered here to participate in the Kamala Congress. Before the eyes of destiny, historians and astrologers alike, I now declare a new rule amendment. A duel before a crowd of eager eyes. The winner awarded 10 pounds of gold, and the loser left with 10 flies to descend upon him. For the Kamal Congress senses, shall assign 2 members of La Sociedad. This noble mission, a duel decreed by fate. Doris hears the faint click of a small object rattling inside a box. Hey, Julio, step forward and draw the sharpest blade of your literary thought. According to the rules, I will preside over this duel with fairness and impartiality. So prepare yourselves. The absurd fictional metaphor that ends fraction of a second. The vicious prisoner sends 10-shilling gold bills, while the loser collapses to the floor. The crowd erupts into chaos, Octavia's cries rising above the noise.
What's going on?
It's Julio. He's having another seizure.
Please, Julio needs your help.
Octavia, you know this is all part of the randomness of fate. Randomness of fate. She doesn't argue back, she usually would. Instead, she stands frozen in place, as if stunned. What's the matter, Miss Octavia? This emergency. I require your assistance. Tell me, Octavia, why are you trying to change Julio's fate? No one should die like this.
I don't want him to die.
Please, Miss Octavia, help me so I can help him.
Her voice cracks. I think only the sound of her stifled sobs lingering in the air. How's his condition now? Octavia. She remains silent. After a long pause, she cast a heavy stone into the bottomless water. Third.
Mr. Julio is gone. He left us the moment the duel was over.
Skill issue. What could that be? Seizures can potentially lead to irreversible brain damage. could it happen so fast? Just life, gone so quickly, so swept away by something so senseless, lost in a nonsensical duel. What is this so-called Congress? What kind of punitive system you need to come out of prison? Someone's life be decided by something so absurd? Are we simply meant to surrender to a fate so twisted? No matter how absurd it is, so irrefutable. This isn't the fate I seek. Distortion of it. It's my fault for not finding a better way. Miss Julia didn't care about anything but his own novels. Never imagined my ideals would mean anything to him. First person of Los Sociedad to support me. It really was an irreversible fate. Fate granted Miss Julia by the die of Babylon. Your question is left unanswered. Most of the salon goes on. Julio has stepped off the endless staircase and reaches the silent water. Become as calm water, dissolved into his own pond. Let us offer our blessings, silence, or farewell to this martyr of fate. Let us imagine that Julio's literacy career was a happy one. The hall remains deadly silent. No applause, no response.
A life is taken, and that's all you have to say?
Really don't care whether we live or die, do you? All of you, don't any of you have anything to say? Why are you all just standing there? If he hadn't kept rejecting the physician's treatment, maybe Mr. Julio wouldn't have. Ridiculous, you have no clue what that demon in human skin is capable of. Will it reach into your mind and mold it like clay, shaping it until it becomes your prison? The realm of fiction, fate, and reality. The dissolution of the ego is inevitable and irreversible. Or, we must not resist the ending dealt to us by the die of Babylon. You even know what you're talking about. I've never understood you. Find the better way. Rewrite this tragic tale. Disagree, then leave. I have a great poem disrupted by an offbeat syllable. Your tedious talk of social responsibility should have been purged long ago. Human tendency.
What a ridiculous, laughable man you are!
See it clearly now. Tyranny that has driven everyone to ruin. Tell you something, I'm not leaving. I've established a literary movement right here, Kamala. Right here. No. We use our literary to rescue the image who suffer all around
I've
us.
had enough of your condescending stone-hearted ego and your pompous sophistry. He'll only bring misfortune upon us with his constant rambling about that visceral realism.
I hope I never see you again, Miss Erd. Never see you again. Miss Erd, we have to get you out of here. Another second around, this maniac might just doom us all.
Only the physician, the true overseer of this prison, can save us from this situation. Please join our society, Miss Torres.
Help us build a nudes. I've already spoken with the jailer. As long as we follow the rules and help them manage Kamala, we'll be free to discuss literature.
Forgive me, Miss Octavia. While I truly appreciate your kind offer, I'm afraid my conversation with the physician must remain private.
Why?
Please answer me this question first. From what you've seen, you'd say this Prison is circular in shape, yes?
Yes.
And tell me, the center of the structure, is there a watchtower? Just exactly. Stationed somewhere inside that watchtower?
I've had such a lovely time here. So much so that I almost forgot what I came for.
Which is precisely why I must put an end to this cruel farce masquerading as fate. You intend to rebel against the Watchtower's gaze. You must understand me.
That inescapable gaze, and the permanent theme of fate.
To get closer to the truth I seek, I have no choice but to meet the administrator the young lady spoke of.
You've decided to save the people here with your own hands, in your own way. And so have I. There are things I must face alone.
Though she is well used to death, the pain of Julio's passing still lingers in her heart, causing her to say words that don't quite feel like herself.
I see. Lend me your palm. I'll draw you the way to his office. Good luck to you. And to all of us.
Farewell, Miss Octavia. I truly hope all goes well for you in the days ahead.
As Octavia retreats, slowly fading into the distance, he quietly adds,
And in your journey, finding answers about fate, too.
Right, hopefully no more reading. Behind the operating curtain. What disrupted this era? What unraveled time? The shadow lurking in the ruins answers madness. Finally get to see Aleph halfway through the story. An otherwise tidy room is covered in fine scratches and small, unidentifiable stains. The smell of disinfectant lingers in the air, mixed with mildew.
Wait here a moment. I'll report the situation and your request to Dr. Merlin. However, since he's always busy, I can't guarantee he'll agree to meet you, but I'll do my best to persuade him.
The Jaguar's figure slinks out to the inner door.
Now's our chance, Sinetto.
Our chance? What do you mean, Timekeeper?
It's unlikely that the jailer will let us search the central tower, even in this situation. We should take the initiative and look for clues while she's away.
I see, Timekeeper. I will do my best.
Sinetto swiftly conducts a thoroughly unauthorized search.
Thank you for your assistance, Miss Recoleta. Without your precise predictions, we wouldn't be standing here now. I haven't yet grasped the connection between the die, your novel, and what's happening in this place. But by process of elimination, it's almost certain that your pen pal, Aleph, is right behind this door.
Sometimes I envy your decisiveness, Vertin. I'm sure many people have praised this special talent of yours.
Are you alright? You don't seem as excited as when we first entered Kamala.
Recoleta holds her gaze on the tightly shut door, uncertain whether she hopes it will open now or ever again.
The all-seeing sentinel of the Panopticon, veiled within the central tower. If it truly is Aleph, I don't know how to face such a terrifying and increasingly plausible reality.
Sorry to interrupt, but... Timekeeper, I think you'll want to see these.
Sign Erd. This is a letter from Dr. Dorez.
Delicate signature matches the one in the manuscript folder.
Her handwriting. It's as beautiful as I'd imagined. Who is it addressed to? Dear Mr. Aleph. Aleph?
Looks like Doras and Aleph are acquaintances. Or at least, they've had some correspondence. Dear Mr. Aleph, my apologies if this reaches you at an inconvenient time. I am Doras, pen name Erd, an ordinary inmate of the Panopticon of Kamala. I write seeking your guidance, if you wouldn't mind offering it to me.
I heard from the physician, Dr. Merlin, that you have the answer to every question. A statement which has been echoed by the Idealist and the other inmates. I have something I wish to ask you. What exactly is your role at the prison? Chief Warden? A secret backer? An observer who dominates the prison? Are you truly the supreme ruler of the Panopticon of Kamala?
They tear open the next letter, eager to read on.
Dear Erd, I do indeed have answers for every question, including yours. I'm afraid every one of your speculations is off the mark. I am merely an inmate who chose to imprison himself here. And allow me to point out that your identity isn't as ordinary as you claim. Why is it that you, my fellow inmate and guest of Manus Vindictae, are so interested in Kamala?
Dr. Doras? A guest of Manus Vindictae?
A muffled shattering of glass interrupts their reading.
It came from inside the room. Do you think they're okay?
The jailer and the physician! What happened?
The door defies any attempt at an answer, sealing
I'm
all
not
the
sure,
events from view.
But it could be bad. Come on, let's go in and see if they're all right.
The unlocked door leads to another room, more decrepit and oppressive than the last. A cold operating table lies in the center, surrounded by scattered bottles and medical instruments.
It seems we've stumbled upon the physician's...
The physician's office. I should have known. But is this an operating room? As if this prison wasn't bizarre enough already.
Inside the narrow operating room, the Jaguar reacts badly to their intrusion.
Didn't I tell you to wait outside? What do you think you're doing barging in like this?
We were just worried about your safety, jailer.
Enough. Get out of...
Quiet. The reptilian complex governs all our fundamental functions. Our heartbeat, breathing, fight or flight responses, and our territory and hierarchy awareness. Our primitive ancestors, like reptiles and birds, followed such instincts to survive. Through millions of years of evolution, we developed the limbic system. This processes emotions and forms memories. It allows us to feel fear, sadness, anger, joy. Our behaviors are given meaning. Now it's the neocortex that makes up more than 2/3 of our total brain volume. Language, perception, logical reasoning, abstract thought. This is what forms the complexity of human nature. We read, create, perceive. We try to understand both the world and ourselves. We are forever setting goals, one after another. And all this, these multitudes, happens within the confines of the skull, in the tight folds of the crowded cerebral cortex.
Is he... performing surgery?
Such a delicate and elaborate organ. Were it unable to forget, what would come of it? Can this space, no larger than the palm of my hand, truly accommodate dozens of people at once?
The physician sets down his operating scissors and needle, signaling the end of the surgery. Yet at the same time, the old machine issues an alarm, signaling that his patient's vital signs are wavering.
What's happened to the patient? It looks like he's dying.
Anxiety rises as the question goes unanswered. On the screen, the last waveforms disappear, leaving only a constant flat tone.
¿Fracasó la cirugía?
Nonsense. The surgery was a tremendous success. I have erased his debilitating hysteria and restored order to the Panopticon.
I mean, I guess. Technically.
What are you trying to achieve by barging in here?
The man behind the operating table stares at the uninvited guests, expectantly, but does not give them a chance to respond.
Forget it. The next operation requires my attention. Jailer, show them out. Bring me the next patient in 15 minutes.
I'm sorry, Miss Burton. I'm afraid you have to leave now.
Recoleta steps forward, blocking their path. There is a hint of pleading in her voice.
Please, just let us speak with you. It'll only take a moment. I have something very important I need to ask.
The question is not given time to take shape.
Important. Nothing is of greater importance than my experiments in the Panopticon, outsiders. To ensure they continue, the stability of time and schedule is absolutely paramount.
Experiments in the Panopticon. So you really are the controller of the prison, then?
Controller? What an outdated notion. Superficial, really. The Panopticon has no need for such power, regardless of who occupies the central tower, or even if no one's there at all. Every inmate is both the observer and the observed, both wielders and subjects of power. Achieving such a state requires no physical or violent measures. The structure of the Panopticon itself is the mechanism which sustains it. Kamala is simply a manifestation of this model. Once I confirm its feasibility and adaptability, this model can be applied to any functional setting with only minor modifications. So far, it has proven to be far superior to any current system of governance in our world. Transcendental, even. Curse it. Why am I wasting time explaining this to you? Time is running out.
Investigator keenly senses the key written within his words.
Dr. Merlin, you keep mentioning time. What exactly do you mean by that?
Really? You need to ask? Even those oily-headed lunatics know it. The end of this era is imminent, is it not?
Indeed, the word that was so close to being spoken.
You know about the storm?
That's what you call it, is it? A storm that washes everything away? You employees of the St. Pavlov Foundation should know better than I. Soon, this era and everything in it will cease to exist. I must prove the feasibility of the Panopticon model before this place is turned to ruins, or something even more unrecognizable.
A storm that washes everything away? Burton, what on earth are you two talking about?
Important. Conversation beyond. The conversation extends beyond even what the most imaginative creations of the aspiring writer.
No one can predict the era to which we will be reversed. I have seen the eras change time and time again. The transformation of this place, over and over. But no matter which era each of these 9 storms, as you call them, has taken us back to, Cordeismo continues to plague this land. Dependency theorists, martyred revolutionists. I've seen them all. You, young writer, are no different from those intellectuals who were swept away in the rain. There is no romance in this era, only the repeated cycles of madness and brutality. An endless, meaningless struggle. Only in this forgotten corner can we momentarily escape the plundering of the marauders and the chaos they unleash. Although it won't be long before this place is looted by those oily-headed lunatics, just as it has countless times before on this land as rich as silver.
He mutters to himself.
But there is still hope. Even in a wasteland, we may still be saved. As long as I uncover the path to transcendentality, I will find the ultimate answer. Ugh, I've already wasted far too much time on you. Leave, now.
The physician turns away, beginning preparations for the next surgery, organizing his worn-out instruments.
You heard him. Please don't press things any further.
All right, Senora, I get it. Obviously, you don't want to discuss my novel with me anymore, so I won't insist upon it. All the letters we wrote to one another, all those inspiring revisions and suggestions, I guess they meant nothing to you.
Voice wavers, rejections, closed doors, harsh critiques. This proves more devastating than all of them together.
But there's still something I must tell you. Jailer, could you please allow us a private conversation with the with Aleph.
Hearing this, the physician stops.
Leave us, Jailer. I'll spare these outsiders 5 minutes.
The jaguar turns to leave, her face revealing an uncharacteristic sorrow as she lingers on the girls one last time. This time, she offers no words. Great. This will probably be the last one for today. I'm getting rather tired. Master of the Labyrinth. Within the corpse of the labyrinth's builder, he proclaims, "It is. It's always been perfect." Only the steady beeping of a heart monitor keeps the eerie silence at bay.
Dr. Merlin, or should I say Aleph, I don't know why you're using my novel to manipulate the Panopticon, but you need to know that it won't serve your purpose, whether in fiction or reality. You claim that the inmates are both the observer and the observed, and both wielders and subjects of power. How could you be so blind as to not see the true state of the Panopticon? The inmates haven't achieved any perfect order. No, they've devolved into pitiful caricatures of themselves, performers in some endless pantomime to be watched from the central tower. Even their medication has become a prop to demonstrate the so-called randomness of fate in the theater that is the Panopticon. This farce hasn't made the Panopticon a better place. No, it has warped it into a twisted theater of cruelty, where the sick are denied treatment and left to quietly perish in the dark corners of its halls. And literature has died alongside them. This prison is a monster, born under the gaze of this all-seeing power. Aleph, is this truly the ultimate answer you've been searching for?
The physician suddenly seems startled, stepping back and accidentally knocking over his tools.
What? Are you suggesting that this is the answer I've reached? That my experiment has been a failure all along, and I've been too blind to see it? No. Impossible. Foucault's theory is flawless.
Seeing his life's work denied is something he cannot tolerate. The man searches the tabletop with feigned composure, but in doing so, he unintentionally sweeps all the surgical tools onto the floor.
I have removed every obstacle to the running of this prison. It is pure, sacrosanct. I have constantly re-evaluated the system, adjusting my instructions to my subordinates to ensure the most efficient maintenance of the established order. And now, you stand here and tell me that everything I've done has been meaningless from the very beginning? That the power model I have implemented has already been replaced by an alternative? No, outsiders. The perfect order of the Panopticon shall not be disrupted. I will not be swayed by your lies. This facility is superior to all others. Nothing here escapes my notice.
Last, in a barely noticeable corner, he finds the 20-sided die.
That said, it isn't easy to work a miracle, as we all know. I shall personally verify it, all myself.
All of his emotions dissolve as he grips the die. The narrow operating room shakes, as if responding to him, emitting a distorted screech.
What's happening?
Visitors from another era. You have come here with plagued ideologies in an attempt to break the subtle balance of the Panopticon. But did you not notice the tiles beneath your feet? The cracks and water stains on the walls, constantly changing right before your eyes. This room, the previous room, every room, you have blindly wandered through them, seeing them as nothing more than the building blocks of a monotonous labyrinth. But this place was not born from the chaotic imaginings of a madman. No. Every inch has been crafted through the meticulous harnessing of order and power. Every wisp of spider silk drifting in the wind, every speck of rust on the gallery rail. Every detail of the Panopticon has been built by my own hands. With this ever-shifting die, concepts may be transformed into reality, and ideals into substance. I observe the movement of every entity, the passage of every second. The moment you entered this realm, you too became subjects of my experiment.
You can tell they increased their budget.
Do you feel ready to discuss it?
In boss time. That I can just auto.
Admit it. This is all getting out of hand. Impossible! All is under the die's control. What may appear to be chaos is nothing more than a temporary deviation.
Perfectly understood. Would you care to lie down? Feel my dark embrace. Please, allow me. This for this book? Time to turn the page. Great to read.
It's special, precise, perfect. It is far from perfect. You know that as well as I. Why else would we be conducting this experiment?
Easy video game.
This happened when the Idealist was attacked too.
To think we've been trapped in a prison fabricated by a die all this time. Did the physician really build all this with such a small, simple object?
The distortion is getting worse. Prepare yourselves to fight or flee.
The situation began to spiral out of control. Now everything in the room screeches and twists, while it become a mess of meaningless black and white lines.
Please, Dr. Merlin, stop this!
No. You're asking for the impossible. Power model of the Panopticon is destined to permeate all of society. Such insignificant interferences could never plunge it into chaos. But it already has, Merlin. You failed. I have not failed, as long as I keep the prison running.
The physician fiddles with the die, muttering baffling and incoherent words to
It
himself.
isn't your power model running the prison. It's the die. It's simply a form of magic, unrelated to the microphysics of power you seek. It provides no aid in your experimentation with power. It's a false hope. A castle in the sky given to you by the military junta and Manus Vindictae.
Manus Vindictae? So you really are working with them. What exactly do you intend to do?
Then I've also failed. I've ended up a pathetic fool, lost in the chaos of reality. Just like the idealist chasing visceral realism, Paracelsus seeking the fountain of youth, and Zahir obsessing over the one-sided coin. When did it all start falling apart, Alan? When the doorknob loosened? When the prisoner's wounds started to fester? Or when the daily disinfectant concentration reached 28 milligrams? Or the crack in the second gray brick on the wall expanded to 6 millimeters? Or was it when Warden Tartuffe left Ushuaia with news of the Foucault Association's dissolution? This place should have been the ideal ground for psychoanalytic practice. Why did they halt all research, all discussion? We've been abandoned, haven't we? By eras old and new. He designed and had maintained everything in Kamala, right down to the smallest details. But it is these details that trap you. And as the bars close around you, you are losing your name, Merlin. And you're becoming a physician. A man forever imprisoned in these walls. I don't understand. All these false eras are like a dreadful novel with no conclusion. Trying to find answers within such things is, in itself, a mistake. Much like them, you are destined never to attain transcendentality. Tell me, Olive, does the ultimate answer even exist?
The eye has become too heavy for him to hold on any longer. It drops to the floor. The distortions and tremors of the prison finally subside, as if the pulse of a massive heart had stopped for an instant. Amid the swirling dust, the girls help each other stand but fail to notice the truth revealing itself before them.
Timekeeper, are you alright?
Yes. And you? And Miss Recoleta? Are you okay? Miss Recoleta?
Smoke clears, but no one responds. The girl simply stares in shock at the figure before her.
You're...
The word utopia derives from Greek. It means no place. People cannot understand the structure of the labyrinth, yet they continue to follow its paths. They cannot comprehend the mechanics of fate, yet they believe in its jurisdiction, as if by doing so, everything will naturally fall into place. And now, the polar night approaches. How good it is to see you, pen pal.
Perfect place to stop. A cliffhanger. However, that should be close enough to the end that I could just finish it next stream. Which ideally will be Monday-ish. So, shall end here. And ideally, probably Monday, I'll be able to finish. No promises on that. I did say I was gonna stream like Tuesday, and then just didn't stream the entire week, so make no promises. But I do want to try to stream, actually consistently stream. But at least for now, thank you all for watching. Oyasumi.